Hi viewers, this is your Arun here again. In today's video, we are going to see a family which has a 300-year legacy and it shaped the modern banking system across the globe. So let's get into the video. Over 3 centuries, there is a family which has played a critical role and a remarkable one at that in shaping the world of finance. From a modern beginning in Frankfurt of Germany to establishing one of the greatest banking houses across Europe, the Rothschild family became one of the most influential financial dynasties in modern history. And if you say this story isn't a myth, but of great strategy, timing, vision, and you can say a part of brilliance as well. So, in this video, we'll try to explore how the Rothschild family built a financial network and a fortune that shaped the modern history in terms of the modern banking system, which we live as of today. So, let's get into the origin part of the what you call the um, story. So the story begins in the 18th century with a person called Mayer Amschel. He was born in 1744 in Frankfurt, Germany, and later on he renamed himself to Mayer Amschel Rothschild. Rothschild meaning in German that it's called as a red sign or a red cross. uh, and he began as carrier dealing in rare coins and currency trading. So why there it's quite unique during those days is, I mean, generally a trade, generally what happens during the early 18th century or the uh, late 16th century, 17th century, etc. It will be a commodity exchange. Say, for example, for a group of cattle, you will get gold, and for a piece of gold you'll get bricks. So we'll just exchange the commodities. So the currency phenomenon was still a evolving one during that time period during the 18th century. So he was very much involved in that currency trading back then. So Mr. Mayer Amschel, over a period of time, he developed relationship with wealthier clients. That includes members of the European nobility. So what do you mean by European nobility is, if you go to the Arch of Triumph in Paris, you would see a list of names in that when you take a look at it. So they are called the European nobility in terms of the French category. So similarly, if you go to every place in Europe, there will be a monument. Under that monument, the royalty of the European continent would be written. Say in Paris, I said, like in the Arch of Triumph in Poniciers, like you'll be seeing those, like people. So he developed such close contacts and very big contacts so that he can develop his empire. So that's what he did. So he understands something crucial during that period. Finance was not just about money; it was about trust, information, and delivery speed. And by building such a reputation, he was also, like, had a great reliability and discretion, and he laid the foundation for a big banking enterprise that would soon expand beyond the Germany. So how he developed the banking system across Europe, it's a very fascinating strategy, and that strategy is called as a five sun strategy. Let's see how the five sun strategy looks like. um, so mainly, like I said, Mayor Rothschild, he had five sons, and instead of keeping the business centralized towards Germany, he sent each son to a major financial center across Europe. So, for example, Amschel, he remained in Frankfurt, and he sent one of his sons, Solomon, to Vienna, and of course Solomon Rothschild. Uh, Nathan Rothschild Nathan is a very important character in this whole banking setup. Nathan Rothschild, he went to London. Carl Rothschild, he established his operations in Naples in Italy. James, he built the Paris branch. James Rothschild. So this decision was created one of the earliest, wealthiest banking networks in Europe. So the main idea behind it is no business will fail if you diversify the system, right? So same he did on establishing the banks. So basically he diversified it across Europe. So if one brother fails, the other will, lend him the money via, some transactions. So this decision created one of the earliest international banking networks in Europe. So, at a time when the communication was slow and unreliable, the Rothschild family developed systems in order to share the financial information quickly between these major centers. So, at that point of time, there's the only major point of contacts, right? I mean, there's a concept called as a cultural capital and financial capital. If you take a look at the cities which they went spread across, right? Say in Frankfurt, in Vienna, in London, in Paris, right? These are the epitome of the like connectivity of the finances across these individual countries. Say for example, Paris is the French financial capital as well as the cultural capital. If we take a look at Frankfurt, it's the capital of finance in terms of Germany, though Munich is the capital. Sorry, my bad. So it's Berlin is the capital, right? So basically, they were able to exchange financial information in a very effective manner, and this gave them a competitive edge over the other competitors. So, how did they expand to an extent that it's too bigger to fall? Is another curiosity we might understand, right? So, in that criteria, so we need to understand two eras here. One is the Napoleonic era and the expansion which they did during the Napoleonic Wars, and the expansion they did after the Industrial Revolution, after the Napoleonic Wars in Europe. So during the Napoleonic Wars, the governments required enormous funding. So the Nathan Rothschild, as I said before, in London, he became known for his financing during the British war efforts. So he was able to move large sums of money across the borders efficiently, and that thus they strengthened the positions. So after the wars, Europe entered into a industrial growth, and the Rothschild banks invested in railways, in mining operations, infrastructure projects across the continent, and it became one of the wealthiest institutions across the world. I mean, this can be easily viewed in the movie The House of the Rothschilds, released in 1934, just for an information. So the Rothschild banks, like I said before, had a lot of influence, not just in lending the money, but in shaping the financial systems that supported modernization. And post the Napoleonic War, there was the Industrial Revolution in Europe during the 19th century. So, when you do a industrial revolution, or when you modify the industrial landscape of a particular continent or a geography, generally the working capital plays a very vital role in it. So, the capital became the engine of the progress, and since the Rothschild family, which was a tight packed network, had a lot of finances, a lot of money at their disposal, they were able to build uh, roads, railway lines, energy projects, and incidentally, during the uh, industrial revolution, the steam engine invention also happened. And so they were able to build the financial railroads, uh, energy projects, and large public sector works. They were able to get the money flow during uncertain times, which made government and the institutions repeatedly relying on them, and they won the trust of the entire European continent, I would say. So over generations, they were able to make that trust, and the family diversified their assets and interest into investment banking, asset management, and even some part of philanthropy, which gave them a bigger global reach during the industrial revolution era in Europe. So where do they stand as of today? So the modern legacy goes this way. Today, the Rothschild household name remains associated with many financial institutions and advisory services. While the structure of their business has evolved, the legacy of their international banking coordination remains one of the most influential contributions based on the preamble which was laid founded in the 18th century by Mayor Amschel Rothschild. So while the structure of the business has evolved, the legacy remains the same. The family has supported each other and the cultural institutions and the charitable initiatives across Europe. So, what can we take inspiration from this video or from this family? So, from a small coin dealer shop owner in Frankfurt to a global financial giant, the Rothschild story reflects how a vision, strategy, and long term thinking can shape centuries. So, if you take a look, right, it's really inspiring. A family of five, you know, father and sons, they shaped the entire banking system across one of the wealthiest continents in the globe, which is Europe. And they had a significant impact on the modern banking, which is undeniable and which is relevant even today. So they have their own what do you call their banking setup here, and still they have the RTI capital markets. You have the Rothschilds and Co. You have Edmund de Rothschild group in France or in Switzerland. So they have all their family oriented banking business which funds billions of dollars snipering across the world. So they are doing an amazing job in terms of their wealth building, in terms of their money flow, lending, etc. So that's highly commendable and inspirable. So the lesson learned is we have to think out of the box, and we have to really uh, be hardworking in terms of our abilities to think. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any thoughts on the evolution of the financial dynasties like this, let me know in the comments. Until then, bye for now. Thank you.